Hello everyone, Justin here, and today let's try drawing a Labrador Retriever, a lab. And what I'll do here, I'll start with the eyes first. So I'm just going to rough out where the eyes are going to be, and looking at my reference, I'm going to see how far the other eye is going to be compared to this. So I've got my iris here, I've got an oval for the outer eye, and it looks like the other eye is about 3 eyes away. So if I look at the width of this eye, I'll count 1, 2, 3, and I'll go ahead and draw the other eye here. Just an oval, and I've got round iris right there. And I'll go ahead and put in the pupils, and we'll add some more detail later. Alright, so there's of course going to be some shadow here, but we'll work on that later. Now I'm looking at the nose, and the nose looks to be about a couple eye heights away or below. So if this is the height of the eyes, I'll count off 2. 1, 2, and right about there is where I'm going to put the nose. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in the nose, and looking at the reference again, it looks like the way the head is angled, the left side of the eye, the left side of the nose is approximately even with the inside of this eye. So right here, and about half an eye away from the inside of this eye for this side of the nose. So I'll just go ahead and mark that. So he's looking slightly to the right, not perfectly centered. So this is basically kind of like a square with slanted sides here, and we've got the center of our nose. And let's draw in the nostrils. Just try to look at your reference and try to draw it as accurately as possible. And what I'm showing you here, this particular technique, is just as far as getting the proportions right. I constantly compare what I've already drawn to what I'm going to try to draw as far as the sizing. Alright, so we've got the nose in place. So let's look at the mouth. So it goes down this way, and the top of the mouth is like right about here, and it's angled down, kind of like a wide A shape. And the chin is kind of narrow, so let's just go ahead and draw that in as well, like that. And it's got jowls out here. Now I'm looking at the shape of this nose, and I'm looking at the shape of this part of the snout. So this part is kind of like a rectangle that kind of widens at the side, at the bottom here, and it's the same thing here. Now the sides here are more or less straight up and down, so I'll just go ahead and draw a straight line up and down there. Now let's look at the size of the actual head. The side of the head on this side is about 1 eye away, so I'll just go ahead and mark that. And on this side it's also about 1 eye away, so I'll just go ahead and mark that as well. Let's look at the top of the head. How far is it? Looking at the top of the eye here, we're probably about 3 eye heights away to the top of the head, maybe a little bit less. So let's go ahead and draw the top with a curved line, and then go ahead and finish the shape of the head here like this. So I'm just constantly comparing, trying to get it as accurate as I possibly can. And just continue on with the neck. Now let's look at the ears, and we basically have these upside down triangles. We've got this fold first that comes off the head, and then we've got this triangular shape basically like this. Alright, but of course it's not going to be straight sided, so we'll kind of curve that a little bit and finish it off. And he's got another curve right here on the outer part, and curve out the inside part of the ear. And with this fold, you're going to have this dark shadow right here. And now let's go ahead and draw in the other ear. out to the side. And again, we've got these folds here. And that should pretty much do it. I think I need to make the head a little bit taller actually, so I'll just go ahead and fix that. Always feel free to correct if it doesn't look quite right. Feel free to correct, of course. So I'm just gonna make this actually a little bit higher. Looking at it now, it just seems like it's a little bit too flat. I think it's because of the way the angle that I'm looking at my reference picture. Alright. Now, unless you're trying to get an exact likeness of a particular dog, there's still a variety, a wide variation in dogs' heads. So don't worry about being accurate. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start adding some shadows, some shading, and I'm just going to keep kind of like the outlines kind of dark. I'm going to keep the outlines kind of dark. Make this a little bit more graphic, and then do some rough shading. Alright, so eyes are pretty important, so you want to kind of spend a lot of time, a little bit more time on it, and really try to make it pop, make it maybe more obvious. So just because you want it to be the center of the focus, you want the focus of the picture to be on the eyes. So here I've marked off a rectangular highlight that kind of overlaps the pupil. And let's just darken that pupil real quick here. Same here. Let's darken the iris next. And I generally use radiating lines, and it just kind of helps convey some detail of the iris. Usually they've got these distinct radiating lines, so that just helps you kind of cover a couple things at the same time, where you shade it and you also add detail. Now underneath the brow then, we've got a nice shadow, a cast shadow coming off the lid, casting a shadow on the actual eyeball and the iris. So you want to make that part a little bit darker, like right here, and the outer part of the eye here, where the eyelashes would come from, tend to be a little bit darker as well, almost like having an eyeliner. So I'll go ahead and darken that, and maybe not so dark on the inner part of the eye here. Now the whites of the eyes are never really white, so you want to just add a little bit of shading there. Maybe emphasize the outer part of the iris a little bit more here. And just continue onto the inside, like so. And we can erase some of these reference lines that we had marked. And let's go and go back to this eye here and add a little eye fold right here for that upper eyelid, and here as well. And here I'm gonna just go ahead and add some fine lines that kind of help indicate shadow, but also some fine hairs. So these are really short lines, and they kind of go horizontal on the inside part of the eye here, and then slowly kind of go upward. And this is just a natural way that the hair kind of falls. And I'm not gonna go put too much, but just enough to indicate that, to indicate the kind of darker tones that are around the eye. Very short lines. You can be as detailed as you want to be. Alright, so let's work on this eye. Again, we're going to have some darker tones right around here. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm just going to go ahead and put in some of these, add a little bit of shading here first, and use my finger to smooth that out, and then go ahead and start adding some fine lines. And I'll try to avoid the upper eyelid just to keep that a little bit lighter. And re-emphasize my short lines here because it kind of got smudged when I went over it with my finger. And I'll just add some more here as well. Just some really short fine lines. Okay, so let's go on to the ear here and go ahead and add some of our shadows. And as I put in these shadows, I'm trying to go in the direction that the hair would be laying. It's not necessary, but sometimes it kind of helps. Depends on the style that you're looking for. I'm gonna add some shadow here behind this fold, and darken this line just a little bit here. Alright, let's go ahead and erase some of these other lines. Alright, so the neck, of course, is going to be a little bit darker. It'll be in the shade. So let's just go ahead and do a little cross hatching here. And here I'm going to go ahead and emphasize the snout a little bit more. And going to the mouth. So I've just got a line here, and then I'm going to slowly go away from it and getting lighter with the pencil pressure, and that just gives me a nice gradient coming from the mouth. The darkest part, of course, is right where the line is of the mouth, and just get gradually lighter as we get to the chin area. Alright, and I'm just gonna kind of keep this chin area a little bit more subtle, so I'm not gonna darken it as much as I did the mouth, but I will go ahead and add some more lines here that kind of indicate the hair. And it goes underneath the jowl. Okay, so this is going to turn out to be kind of this is going to turn out to be a white lab. And I'm saying that just because I'm not going to do a lot of shading to make it look like it's dark. So I'm just adding enough shading to kind of indicate the form of the head. So we've got some shadow here, and I'm just using random lines, directional lines, and here my goal is to just put in shadows, not necessarily try to follow the direction of the hair. Here I'm going to I will add the shadow in the direction of the hair, but as you get into the darker shadow areas, it's not, to me, it's not so important. Now here I'm gonna go ahead and darken this quite a bit, just because this part is really dark, not getting a lot of light. And then again add some shorter lines to show the hair. And hide that initial layout line there that I had put in, and add more shadow on the right side of this ear. And darken as I get to the edge. And now we're back to the neck right here. And again, this is going to be a little bit darker just because it's in the far side away from the light. So I'm just going to make this a little bit darker. Alright, let's work on the nose. First I'm going to go ahead and erase some of our layout lines. And this will be a little bit darker. I'm going to switch over to my softer lead here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and really darken the blacks, which are the nostrils basically, especially on the upper part of the nostril, and then kind of make it a little bit softer as we go lower. And same thing here with his left nostril, really dark, and then right underneath the fold to emphasize that fold. And now the middle line there, and now I'm gonna just go ahead and darken the whole thing. Alright, so let's kind of blend this in a little bit here, especially at the bottom, and then make the bottom part of the nose a little bit darker, just so it doesn't look so flat. And of course, the outer part of the nose, the outer edges, is where it kind of blends in with the hair. But the hair around the nose is so short that you're really not gonna see those kind of details. So I'll just kind of leave the edges of the nose fairly clear cut, and add some marks here for where the whiskers would come off. Add a little bit of shading here too, of course, just so this part's not so flat looking. And here. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and add some indication of some whiskers here. Not a lot. And I've got some lead on my finger, or pick up some more here. And I'll just go ahead and add some shading here around the left side of the face, just so it doesn't look so plain. And what I'm also going to do is just add a little bit of cross hatching here, just to make this a little bit more interesting. Maybe add some short lines here just to kind of indicate some of the hair. Alright, so I'm just going to add some more shadows here. Shadows that fall on the neck from the head. And just kind of blend that in. Alright, so now I'm looking at this drawing, and I noticed that this line is quite darker than the line here on the other side of the snout or cheek. So I'm just going to darken that a little bit, and maybe darken this edge of the jaw, and maybe here as well, just to kind of make sure that it's more or less even across the drawing. And I think I will stop there. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks a lot for watching, and please subscribe. That'll really help me out. Have a great day. Bye. See you next time.